Urgent Cleveland Browns fans. Do not miss this. What just happened? You won't believe this one. But before we reveal the big news, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because here, we bring you daily videos with the latest Cleveland Browns updates. And to not miss anything, activate the notifications. Hey there, Browns fans! Today, we have a story that's really shaking things up around the league, especially for us who are passionate about the Cleveland Browns. It's one of those stories that's got everything: talent, controversy, family legacy, and a lot of questions about the future of a young quarterback trying to make his mark in the NFL. And trust me, you don't want to miss this deep dive into the journey of Shedeur Sanders, a name you've probably heard a lot lately, especially if you're following NFL news and draft prospects. Shedeur Sanders, the son of the legendary Deion Sanders, has been one of the most fascinating and polarizing prospects in recent football history. Imagine coming into the league with the weight of a Hall of Fame father, a guy who's a true legend both on the field and off. That alone can be a blessing or a curse, depending on how the world perceives you. Shedeur, during his time at Colorado, built a pretty impressive resume as a quarterback. He showcased his talent, arm strength, decision-making, leadership, everything you'd want in a top-tier college quarterback. But here's the thing, even with his accomplishments, questions hovered around him, mainly because of his family name and the way his father, Deion Sanders, did things differently at Colorado. Deion is known for his bold approach, his nonconformity, and his outspoken personality. That style, while inspiring for many, clashed with the traditional college football norms. And that clash created a lot of buzz, both positive and negative, around Shedeur. Now, you might wonder, how does that impact his draft stock? Well, despite his on-field talent and the fact that he's no off-the-field concerns, Shedeur's draft journey was anything but smooth. He faced skepticism from NFL scouts and analysts, and some of that was amplified by the family name. The fact that Deion Sanders has never been one to follow the conventional route only added fuel to the fire. Deion's reputation as a coach who's unorthodox, charismatic, and sometimes controversial, has colored perceptions of Shedeur. And honestly, that's a significant factor in how he slid down the draft boards. Shedeur ended up being selected in the 5th round, a surprising fall for many, especially considering his production and potential. That's a huge story in itself, because being a 5th-round pick in the NFL is not necessarily a death sentence, but it definitely puts a target on your back. It's a spot where you've got to work twice as hard to prove yourself, especially in a crowded quarterback room like that of the Cleveland Browns. Now, speaking of Cleveland, that's where Shedeur finds himself right now, in a roster that's loaded with talent and high expectations. The Browns have been assembling a solid team for a few years now, with stars like Deshaun Watson leading the charge, but also with a clear openness to developing new talent at quarterback. Shedeur is currently listed as a 4th or 5th string quarterback, which means he's got a long road ahead of him if he wants to climb the ranks. But that doesn't mean he's without hope or potential. No, in fact, many Browns fans see flashes of possibility in him, especially given his pedigree and what he's shown so far. The question now is, how does he handle this pressure? How does he navigate the intense scrutiny that comes with being the son of a legend and a late-round pick trying to prove himself in the NFL? You see, the internet has been a battlefield for Shedeur. Online, the hate and criticism have been loud and relentless. Some of it, honestly, is rooted in bias or unfounded opinions, but a lot of it also comes from the fact that people love to judge families, legacies, and young players who are under the spotlight. Shedeur himself has spoken about this, telling Cleveland.com that most of the negativity is directed at his father, Deion Sanders. And honestly, that's a pretty mature perspective. He said, "They don't care about other people's opinions of you. They go based off their own. 99% of hatred, directed at me, is toward Pops. And then I'm just his son." That's a powerful statement, especially coming from someone so young. Shedeur recognizes that much of the criticism isn't really about him personally, but about the legacy of his father and how that influences perceptions. And it's true, Deion Sanders is a polarizing figure. Some see him as a football genius, a trailblazer who changed the game, especially in college football, with his flamboyance and bold leadership. Others see him as a disruptor, someone who challenged the status quo and made some enemies along the way. But one thing's clear, Deion has always been about doing things his way, and that style has rubbed some people the wrong way, especially those who prefer tradition and conformity. Shedeur points out that it's mostly the older generation that carries the negativity, not the younger fans or players. When Shedeur is face to face with people, he doesn't see that hostility, it's mostly an online phenomenon. That's an interesting insight, because it shows how much the digital age amplifies negativity, especially for young athletes trying to carve out their path. Now, Deion Sanders, the father, has taken a step back from the spotlight when it comes to managing his sons' careers. He's no longer their coach or their direct agent, choosing instead to let them handle their own professional journeys. That decision is significant because it shows a level of trust and respect for their independence. For Shedeur, being drafted in the late rounds and ending up in Cleveland is a story of resilience. It's about overcoming skepticism and proving that he belongs at this level. Many fans are excited about his potential, and there's a lot of buzz about whether he can develop into a legitimate NFL starter someday. The Browns' quarterback room is crowded right now, with Deshaun Watson trying to get back to his peak form, and behind him, several young players vying for a shot. Shedeur's challenge is to stand out, to show that his talent and work ethic can earn him a spot on the active roster. One of the most intriguing parts of his story is the number he chose for himself in Cleveland, number 12. It's a subtle nod to Tom Brady, the GOAT himself, and it's a move that stirred up some debate among fans and analysts alike. Some see it as a sign of confidence, a bold statement that Shedeur is aiming high. Others view it as a bit of a gamble, almost a symbolic gesture that he's trying to emulate one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Regardless, it's clear that Shedeur is aware of the spotlight, and he's not shying away from it. Instead, he's embracing the challenge, trying to carve his own path while respecting the legacy that's been left behind. But let's be honest, the journey to NFL stardom is long and winding. Shedeur has a lot to prove, and the NFL is a different beast from college football. The speed of the game, the complexity of defenses, the pressure of playing at the highest level, all of these factors will test his mental toughness and physical ability. Browns fans, I know you're eager to see what he can do, especially as he continues to develop behind the scenes. His arm talent is undeniable, and if he can refine his decision-making and adapt to the NFL's speed, there's no reason he can't become a key player in the future. Looking at the bigger picture, the Browns are in a unique position. They've been building something special, mixing veteran leadership with young talent, and Shedeur's story adds a new layer of excitement to the mix. The organization seems patient with his development, understanding that late-round picks often need time to blossom. And with the current quarterback landscape in Cleveland, it's a perfect environment for Shedeur to learn, grow, and perhaps one day lead the team. The Browns have a rich history, a passionate fanbase, and a hunger for success that's been building for years. Shedeur's presence, whether as a backup or future starter, could be a part of that success story. And now, Cleveland Browns fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on Shedeur Sanders? Do you believe he has what it takes to make it in the NFL? Are you excited about his potential, or do you think he's facing too many hurdles? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, your opinion really matters to us and to the future of the Browns. This is just the beginning of his journey, and I promise, we'll be here every step of the way to bring you the latest updates, insights, and analysis. So stay tuned, because the Browns story is far from over, and with players like Shedeur Sanders stepping into the spotlight, things are only going to get more interesting. Thanks for sticking with us today, Browns fans. Remember to like, share, and subscribe if you want to keep up with everything happening around the Cleveland Browns. We're committed to bringing you detailed, honest, and engaging content, because this team means a lot to us, and I know it means a lot to you too. Keep the faith, stay excited, and let's see what the future holds for Shedeur Sanders and the Cleveland Browns. Until next time, this is your NFL Insider, signing off with all the latest from the Dog Pound, and as always, go Browns!